What it do, everybody, and welcome back to All Sports Media TV. I am your host, KJ the Great, and we got some weird news, odd news in the sport of boxing. Let's talk about it, man. So if you don't know, you've been living under a rock. Turki Al-Sheikh, UFC president Dana White, and the parent company that owns the UFC and the WWE, TKO Holdings, have joined forces, to start a boxing promotion. Now, a while back, they released their kind of preliminary ideal numbers that fighters will fight for under their banner. And a lot of fighters came out and spoke like, nah, we won't be signing with that. We won't be doing this. We won't be doing that. Because a lot of the numbers were for some of the elite boxers, I'll say that, were low ball type numbers. I mean, you got a guy fighting 10 rounds for $20,000. You got a guy that's not going to go over well. But let's move forward a little bit. So today, it's come out that TKO Holdings has requested an amendment to the Muhammad Ali Act, which is a federal law that protects boxers from being exploited. What does that mean? So basically, long time ago, you seen a lot of fighters fighting for pennies on the dollar, not getting paid, cheated out their money, all this extra type of stuff that we've seen in the sport of boxing. And you see a lot of fighters from the old days, they retire, they either broke or they go broke real quick. They have to go into a plethora of other business ventures to try to make out and make a living after putting their life on the line for all of their career, which is horrible and it's sad. And a lot of boxers dealt with that. This law protected said boxers and future boxers from being exploited in that fashion. So they want to amend that because they know that with the numbers that they threw out, that they are willing to pay their fighters, it's not going to be enough. Now, Turki Al-Sheikh has upwards of $1 trillion to work with in Saudi money for his boxing ventures. We already know that he's not in the business to make X amount of money. He just wants to put on the biggest events, the best fights, which is good. But partnering with the UFC, TKO Holdings, they're not in the business of losing money. They're not in the business of paying a lot of fighters what they're worth. So we already know that was all going to come to a halt at some point. Definitely one of those things where now you're going to see a change with Turki Al-Sheikh and TKO Holdings in the way they do business with a lot of fighters. Now, I don't think any of the elite fighters will sign with them off the bat. They may get one and try to work out some deals to where they can get, some big name fighters on their cards. But I think they said for a championship fight, the winner and loser will make a combined around $600,000 to $700,000. That's a lot of money. But your elite guys, your Gervonta Tank Davis, your Jaron Ennis, your David Benavidez, your Canelos, all those type of guys, they're not going to fight for that. They're not going to shortchange themselves from what they've been making so far. So what do you guys think about this? I personally, they've already got got meetings going with Congress to try to change the law so they can work their little magic in there. I don't think it should happen. I think it should stay as it is. And I think that with TKO Holdings coming into boxing, partnering with Dana White and all of them, they need to get on this path instead of trying to run boxing like the UFC. If you look at the UFC, a lot of those guys aren't making any money. Why do you think we only see fighters like John Jones fight once every blue moon? Because he's not going to fight for, at the point where he's at in his career, he's not fighting for scraps. It's that simple. A lot of the other fighters, unless they're marketed heavy, everybody's not Ronda Rousey where they can make, $4 or $5 million, $6 million, $12 million a fight. It don't work like that. But you're not going to go into a fight, get your head kicked in for $200,000 and walk away with a hospital bill that totals up to $50,000. And then you still got to pay your team, taxes, and everything else. And now you're walking away with scraps. It's not going to work like that. But let me know what you guys think about this, man. I think it's pretty interesting. I hope the law don't get changed. Thank you guys for tuning in. Peace.